On today's episode, we are going to be turning this trash into gorgeous French country decor. And we will be doing this all for free or for pennies on the dollar. This is a great way to use what you have to make this season a little merrier without breaking the bank. Hey guys, welcome back to Desert DIY. If you are new here, my name is Corey. Today I'm going to be flipping all of these things which I got either for free or they were trash or I got them from the Goodwill bins for less than $1. The Mary sign, the bells, and the presents were given to me by a neighbor. This is a tree branch off of a fake Christmas tree. I have some random little things here that I picked up from the Goodwill bins all for less than $1 a piece because they charge you by the pound and these are all very small things. This is the end of a wrapping paper roll, and these are trash that I discovered and want to turn into something beautiful. The foam I got from the Goodwill bins. These I also got from the Goodwill bins, but I think they're originally from the dollar store, so I got them even less than $1 at the Goodwill bins. And then all of these books here I got for 50 cents a piece. Can you believe I found A Christmas Carol? How cool. But they were 50 cents a piece at the Goodwill bins. I picked them out because they were red and green and go with this really beautiful antique French country look that I am going for. But all of this stuff we're doing today, I want to turn out looking super beautiful, high-end French country, kind of like this right here. This is a picture I got off of Pinterest, and I believe it's from somebody called The French Nest. I don't know if they're on Instagram or Pinterest or what, but I'm going to go for that aesthetic with all of these things here, which is hard to believe because look at how bright and crazy all this stuff looks together right now. We're going to start off with these bells. So these would be the first thing we start working on today. They are plastic. They had this little bow on there, and I'm going to cut off this string that's on there so that we can get to painting this. I want to create a really neat antique stone look on a lot of the pieces that I'm decorating with today, and these bells I think are going to look beautiful in that look. You're never going to know that these were from like Walmart or the dollar store. I'm not even sure. This Mary sign is something that I think is going to turn out really great too, but we're going to save that for a little bit later in the video. And these little cans or tins, whatever you want to call them, we're going to paint them the same that we're going to paint for that bell. And of course it still had a candle inside there, so somebody has already reused that little tin before. This thing had some weird gross stuff on it, but we don't need those tops anyways. I could do something with the tops, but I'm not going to in today's video. And then these little trays are going to get that same paint technique to look like stone. And I also found these little foam apples in the box of stuff that my neighbor dropped off to me, so we're going to do something with these today as well. I'm pretty excited about these. I think these are going to turn out really cute. But let's get started on painting all these things that I'm going to do this stone technique on. I notice a lot of the French country has like antique European looks to it. And so I want to make sure that I'm going for a really antique, kind of a little bit rustic look with these. I could not get this price tag off for the life of me. So they are going to stay on, but don't worry, you will never know they were there, I promise. Later on I will show you, you will never know that those were there. They're really super thin stickers, which is why they're so hard to get off. So I'm just going to take some white chalk paint in the color Snow White by Waverly. This is a very affordable chalk paint that you can get at Walmart, which helps to keep the cost down on all of these projects today. But I'm going to use a disposable foam brush and just stipple on this chalk paint to start creating that stone texture. The trick to creating the stone texture is to put salt on your paint while it is still wet, let it dry a little bit, and then go over it with a second coat of paint on top of the salt. For the tins, I have already painted the bottom of them and did the same salt technique, but I'll show you how I did the paint on these as well. It's exactly the same method as I did on the little trays, but I just had to do it on a round surface. So I stuck my hand inside there and rotated it all the way around so that I could see what I was doing really clearly and get good coverage. Once everything was dry, I went over it with Waverly Clear Wax on the front, back, sides, everywhere. I covered every surface with that clear wax, and then I followed that with a Waverly Antique Wax. And this I tried a few methods for, and I'll let you know which one was the best. So I started out using a paper towel to do this so that I could throw it away when I was done. But it just wasn't working. It wasn't quite smoothing things out the way I wanted it to. So then I went on to use a wet rag, which worked really well to smooth it out how I liked it, but it didn't get into the crevices like I wanted it to. So the final method that I went with was to use a bristly dry brush and brush it on first and then go over it with that wet rag to wipe back any excess that I didn't like. I wanted to add a little bit of detail to the rim of these, and so I'm going to be tying on some twine. I got this roll of twine from the Goodwill bins, and it probably only cost me just pennies to add it to this DIY. I think the twine looks really great, but I want to make sure that I'm not making this look to farmhouse. I do like farmhouse decor, but that's not the look I'm going for today. I'm trying to go for more of that antique French country look, or antique, like, European farmhouse, maybe. I don't know. I guess I could go for that kind of farmhouse. But I cut out this foam that I got from the Goodwill bins. So again, I spent pennies on this because it's by the pound and you know how lightweight foam is. So I glued those in there with some hot glue, real good. I put lots of glue on there. And now I'm just going to fluff out this little tree that I picked up from the Goodwill bins. I think right now I'm in this project for maybe about $1 or $2. It's hard to calculate paint because I barely use less than a third of the paint for all the projects today. So I'm not quite sure how to calculate the cost of the paint and one stick of hot glue for this. So I would just guess that right now I've spent about $2 on everything that I have done so far. And look at how cute that little tree looks in there. Now I have these trees. I got them half off, and it's about $1 a piece. I think I got them from Hobby Lobby last year after Christmas was over. So that's another great hack to save money on your Christmas DIYs, is to buy your craft supplies the year before you're going to use them, and you get them for very, very cheap, and just put them away with your Christmas decorations until next year. I hot glued this little tree in here as well, and now it's time to embellish it a little bit more. So I'm going to use this Spanish moss and hot glue it in there. I got this Spanish moss also from the Goodwill bins, so dirt cheap. Maybe it's a couple cents worth of Spanish moss that I added to these projects. So I'd still estimate that we're around, well, now that we've added the other tree, I think we're about $3 in for the pair of these cute little tree tins. Had these little bows in my stash for a while now, and they're about 42 cents each if you buy it full price. And I'm going to add one to each of these. So now we are at about $4, a little less than $4 for the pair. Weren't those tree tins so cute? Look at how good these bells turned out. You would never know that they were plastic underneath there. This ribbon I got from the Goodwill bins. It is a really high-end ribbon. I am sure that it probably cost a pretty penny, and they probably had to pay per the linear foot, whoever bought this. It seems like a designer ribbon. And so we are going to be designer ribboning up this cute little bell wall hanging decor. So what I'm going to do is cut off a piece of ribbon, and I'm going to create a 3-loop bow for this embellishment. And then I also cut both ends at a little V angle just to make it look a little more finished and high end. As far as cost goes, I used a little bit of paint, a little bit of salt, about 50 cents worth of ribbon and twine, and I think I'm all in for this for maybe less than $1. It looks gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, and I think it fits that French country aesthetic so perfectly. I love how this looks. On the back, when I tied on the twine, I made sure to tie myself a little loop so that I could hang this on the wall. I'm also going to be adjusting the ribbon and gluing it down right into the perfect position that I think looks best. And this is the most beginner-friendly way to do a ribbon. I'm terrible at ribbons, and so if I can do it, you can definitely do it. Onto the two trays that I did the same paint technique on as the bells and the tins. We are going to be mixing up a color to make brown because I'm going to paint on a Christmas tree, well, a pine tree, I should say. I'm trying to make it a little more nature inspired, and I think that will help it look more antique and that kind of simple yet not so simple look that French country does, where it's like beautiful landscapes and things, and you add touches of Christmas in the sparkles and the gold in the florals. So I'm trying to make this a very simple tree painting on each of these trays. I mixed this brown with just random colors that I thought would make a color that I liked, and it turned out to be a really pretty taupe colored brown. As my sister-in-law named it, it is potato brown. I think that's pretty accurate. It does look like potato brown, which I think looks perfect for this aesthetic. I love the French country designs that have the taupes and the beige and the whites and the golds. I like it to be more simple and elegant. So let's start painting this tree. Guys, this is the first time I've ever painted a pine tree in my life. I didn't even look up a tutorial for this. I just was gonna wing it, I guess. I was channeling my inner Bob Ross, and I figured if I mess it up, I can figure it out as I go. And that is such a statement towards how bad my ADHD can be sometimes, because I did not feel like looking up how to paint this, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to figure this out as I go, and it turned out all right. Let me know in the comments what you think of these trees that I just made up on the fly, and if you would have added more embellishment to the trees or left them as I did. What do you think so far? Are these turning out all right? I feel like I really like them, and it was such a fun and simple thing to do. It was one of those crafts where you're actually just having a blast as you do it.
Jingle bells ringing in my ear. Jingle bell, a sound that's oh so dear. Frosty the snowman is all around town. Watch out for reindeers are falling down.
I had to find a way to affordably make these easy to hang on the wall, so I cut some more of that twine and glued them on like little hooks on the back.
We stay up waiting for Santa tonight. He climbs down the chimney at the speed of light. While we're dancing around the Christmas tree, hugging and kissing just you and me. Carolers are singing outside our door, lovely songs we all heard before, as they walk from house to house to wish us all a Merry Christmas Day. Oh, a Merry Christmas Day. Oh, we're chasing snowflakes as they're falling down, and follow Rudolph all across the town. Later we meet under the mistletoe, while Santa's busy saying ho, ho, ho. We're feeling jolly, eating Christmas cake, and then we go skating on the frozen lake.
The next pieces we're going to work on are these little metal presents. The paint has been rubbed off on a lot of it, especially the red paint, and surprisingly the lights inside still work. I am so excited about that. But we're going to paint these in a beautiful gold color. But before we can paint them, we need to take out these little battery operated twinkle lights so that they don't get any of that gold spray paint on them. So I'm just using a knife to bend back all the tabs that are holding these inside. Also, these are some of the things that I got for free in that box of supplies that my neighbor gave me. She is a huge crafter just like me, and she hands down items to me that she thinks she's not going to use anymore or that don't fit her current decor look, and I'm really excited to see what she thinks of how I updated all of these things in a new French country kind of way. This can of spray paint costs about $6, and we did end up using about half of the can of spray paint on these presents. So we're in it for about $3 for the pair. That's $1.50 each. While we had the spray paint out, Manny painted this Mary sign for me as well. We used that same gold spray paint, so this time we used the other half of that spray paint can, so that has it at about $3 for the cost of the spray paint on here, but I am going to do a little bit extra on here once it's dry and we bring it inside. There are some spots on here where there's some little indentations in the wood frame, so I wanted to disguise them with a fun and antique French country look. So what I'm going to do is mix some of that white paint and some of that antique wax and create a pretty taupe color, and then create kind of a faux wood grain on here using a dry brush technique where I just barely brush on any of this taupe color on here, and it will create a little bit of wood grain patterns. Our next trash to treasure is this torn up Christmas Carol book that I found in this exact condition in the Goodwill bins. I thought it was gorgeous. It would fit so perfectly in a book stack with some red and green books. I stacked them from smallest to largest. And I think that when you have antique books like this and you create a beautiful book stack arrangement, it adds so much character to the space that you're decorating with. And the fact that it says A Christmas Carol right there on the top, it has those beautiful antiqued pages on there, that just makes this such an authentically beautiful antique decoration piece that goes so well with that French country aesthetic that I am going for. I'm just tying that same twine around here to hold the books together. I tied it nice and tight. This little pick I got from the Goodwill bins. Never underestimate these little picks that you find there. They probably cost a few cents because of how lightweight they are. And then these little pine cones as well I got in this Ziploc bag at the Goodwill bins. So right here I would say we're at about $1.50 for the books, and then maybe another 50 cents for all the rest, like the twine and these little pieces of pick decorations, whatever you'd want to call these pine cones and this little sprig of Christmas pick that I got from the Goodwill bins. So we're at about maybe $2 for this beautiful book stack arrangement.
Whenever you're down, out in the cold, faithless and dark, your story's untold. Come take my hand and walk there with me. I know a place where we can be free. There is a light shining for you, guiding your way, helping you through. And shadows and gloom are all that you see. We'll find a place where we can be free.
The next trash to treasure started off with this adorable little tin. It was missing its lid. I'm going to add some foam in there that I got from the Goodwill bins. And I also got this tree branch that came off of a faux Christmas tree. All of it came from the Goodwill bins. I would say that I probably spent about $1, maybe $1.50. We'll overestimate it to $1.50 for buying these by the pound. And I'm going to take my multi-tool and trim this tree branch down shorter. Although it's a really cute height for a Christmas tree, I think it would be too heavy for that little tin and tip it over if I didn't make it a little shorter. So I'm just trimming off some of these little branches on the branch to make it to where I can stick the stalk down into that foam that I'm going to hot glue in there. And it was very, very lightweight now at this point, so I had no worries about it tipping over.
From the mountain top down to the deepest valley, hear a voice calling you. It's the rising sun shining in the darkest alley. Can't you see you will be free? I have been far, I have been wide, searching for peace, somewhere to hide. Now I am free, open and pure, fearless and babe, I am secure. There is no dark that can't be lit. We'll find a way if we just commit. We are one. There is no them and us. Together we're strong. Together we're free. From the mountaintop.
I added a few cents worth of that Spanish moss, and now this cute little cardinal that came off of a pick that I got from the Goodwill bins. I'm going to glue it onto the top of the tree here just to bring that red accent color to the top that's on the tin, as well as create a little bit more whimsy and cute and cozy to this little Christmas tree. I think it looks great. So I think all in we're at about $2 for this.
Deepest valley, hear a voice calling you. It's the rising sun shining in the darkest alley. Can't you see you will be free? Can't you see you will be free?
Our next trash to treasure is actual trash, of course. This is the leftover end of a roll of wrapping paper that I used to wrap my children's gifts this year. I could not figure out what I wanted to do with this paper. I knew that I wanted to do something cool with this brown paper because this looks so great in all of the French country antique decor things I've seen on Pinterest, and I've seen like different people on Instagram decorating with the brown paper snowflakes and things that they have bought. And some people make them as well. But I just couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. So I started out by making some snowflakes, and guys, I am not the best snowflake maker in the world. I just channeled my inner kindergartner and cut random shapes into this folded up piece of this brown paper, and it turned out all right. I just kept opening it up and looking at it to see how it was looking so far, and if it was too simple, I closed it back up into that same fold and cut out more notches. That's really all it took to create these beautiful snowflakes. But I didn't just want to create snowflakes because I didn't really have a place to hang just snowflakes, and I also really love making little paper angels. I did them last year. If you haven't seen my tutorial for those from last year, then I'll show you again right now. But so far, the only thing that we're spending money on is going to be a wood bead that I'm going to use for these paper angels, and also the twine that I'm going to use to hang this at the end. But for the paper angels, you cut about a third of the way down, and then you fold in an accordion style or like a fan style fold, forward, backward, and I'll show you how to do the rest. For 3 wooden beads and some twine, I'll overestimate this cost at about 25 cents for the entire garland. You can find wood beads on Amazon, or you can take a wood bead garland that you find from Goodwill bins and take it apart and use those beads. I have saved the easiest craft for last. These are little foam apples that I got from my neighbor for free. I have this bag of faux snow that I got from Walmart, and I'm going to use maybe about $1 worth of hot glue and this fake snow to create some super simple and cute little snowballs. Adding these little homemade and shabby chic snowballs to your vignettes around the house is a great way to add whimsy, French country character to your decor without breaking the bank. It's a subtle and playful way to say it's Christmas time. Thank you so much for joining me today as we made over all of these trash to treasure items. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!